Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are talking about the XYZ Cup, aka the Duelist Cup, but with only XYZs in the extra deck. This new event has just shown up, and as you can tell, basically the day that this is coming out is when you're going to be able to start playing this, and I'm just going to go quickly over the cards, or decks specifically, that you can play this with, and just give you an overall sense of how this is going to work. So it's much similar to the Duelist Cup and the WCQ than any of the other events as well, and there is a rewards system. Most notably, it's actually just like better than most in-game rewards for like the Duelist Cup and stuff like that. So do keep that in mind. They have one of the funniest titles for getting first place, the Overlord of Deepest Black, which is unbelievable comedy. It's just so funny. For the top 10 places, you get these really cool overlays, or overlay unit frames, which are, I say they're really cool. They're okay. You get an icon, cool, and you get these 20 XZ Cup reward packs. Now, real quick, I'm going to show you what's in the reward packs, and the answer to that is nothing. There is, like, nothing in here. You can get Mosquito, which, like, one deck uses. So, there's that one. I would say you could get, like, Jinzo layered for Jinzo, but Jinzo doesn't even use this card. Actually, it might. I honestly don't know. But it's Jinzo, so who cares? Anyway, so, there are rewards, but it works legitimately in the same way that a Duelist Cup would. So, really good rewards for getting all the way to max level. And then, of course, you have Stage 2, which is more of a kind of ranked grind with MMR systems and stuff like that. But real quick, I want to go over the decks that you should be looking out for, or more specifically, decks that you can play that I think will do fairly well, and that have some stuff that you can do with them. So let's start off here just by showing you all of the different strategies. I've just kind of thrown together some cards. Now, there's basically two categories. There's categories of cards that basically rely on just main deck cards, and then there's strategies that rely on the extra deck, the actual XZs. So we're going to start off here with the extra deck stuff, starting off with probably the most thought of card, or deck, which is Pearly. Yeah, Pearly's really, really strong. There's no real limitation in... Honestly, I'm going to tell you this right now. There is basically no limitation to any deck besides, like, stun. So keep that in mind. Nothing has really changed. There's no real... Oh, sorry. No. They did limit Flu on Deriz, and they did limit Dogmatica. Don't know why that's the case, but they did. So yeah, the Dogmatica stuff, the Flunder stuff, and some, like, stun cards. However, they didn't get everything. Like Synchro Zone, that card? Yeah, that's still limited. You can still play it. And a whole bunch of other cards like that, which are very, very silly. But for the most part, that is... those are the important notes. So yeah, we have probably the most expected deck, or probably the most prevalent deck in an XZ event, which is Pearly. Yeah, this one is pretty self-explanatory. Pearly is probably going to be the best XYZ deck that you can play, but there are a few other options. We have things like Lyrilisc, which is, again, fully unlimited. However, the biggest issue with this is that, while, yes, you can play the Lyrilisc stuff, the biggest problem with that becomes that you don't get the Tri-Brigade half of that deck, so you kind of have to play more of just Lyrilisc, which isn't as useful. You can also play Numeron. Obviously, you can do the Numeron OTK if you wanted to. Not really missing anything there. Again, basically every card is still there except for the extra deck stuff and a few stun things here and there. Next up, we have Satellar Knight, which is a notable notable deck that honestly is, like, pretty good in a lower power format. However, its biggest problem is twofold, or I should say its biggest problems are twofold, and they are just drawing in, like, a non-starter hand, right? There's a lot of hands that kind of don't do it, right? That don't get you to that full combo. And then the second thing is a hand trap, right? They can just immediately lose, depending on how weak the hand is, to one, even two hand traps, right? Oftentimes two hand traps is going to entirely cook it, so there's that. However, they can literally win the game in one turn, due to this guy. I believe no. Is it this one? Detach 3, special summon, detach 7, and skip your opponent's next turn. Yeah, it's this one. Ptolemaeus allows you to basically set up your entire combo, skip the turn, and then punch your opponent in the face for lethal damage pretty easily. So there is a capacity to do that, so keep that in mind. You also have Zodiac, which is pretty self-explanatory, and with 2 Zeus, this actually gets significantly better. Like, genuinely, 2 Zeus Zodiac is a lot better than 1 Zeus Zodiac. However, even with that being said, I don't expect this to be insanely good. I just expect it to be relatively prevalent, because you could just play a whole bunch of hand traps and basically it works, right? You also have Spriggans with the Merrymaker, Explorer, and Sargus all being fairly decent. Not a great strategy, but it's something to keep in mind. Obviously, Exosister, I'm expecting a lot of people to play this. These two I expect to be probably the most popular. Yeah, people just like Exosisters, so there's that. Then, of course, we have ourselves the Kashtira. All of the Kashtira stuff is fully legal because Konami hates you. Yeah, so Kashtira is all there and all ready to go. And that's basically it in terms of... Oh, sorry. We have one more, which is Galaxy Eyes Photon, or Photon Dragon, or Galaxy, or whatever it's called. Oh, no, sorry, I missed Shark. Yeah, you could do, like, rank 4 shenanigans, or, like, Shark stuff, or basically Stealth Kraken control. So, those are your options in terms of XYZ decks in particular, or decks that are specifically centered around summoning the XYZs. And then there's a bunch of other options available to you, which are more main deck options, more main deck centric ideas. That being, obviously Drytron. Yeah, Drytron, fully unlimited. Yes, Ben 10 exists, fully at 3. You have Ava as well. Where is it? Up. There it is. Ava, fully at 3. So, yeah, you can basically do whatever you want with the Drytron stuff and, you know, go off king. You also have Rescue Ace, totally untouched. All of the Snake Eye stuff as well. All of the Snake Eye stuff, fully untouched, including Diabell Star, at least from regular ranked. So, there's that. However, without Link monsters, you're not going to be able to do nearly as much. But that's still entirely available to you. So I don't expect this to be, like, the best deck, but it is something to keep in mind, especially since, again, the Fire King stuff, totally untouched. But honestly, I would say that, like, if you were going to play Fire King or Rescue Ace, you're better off basically playing them pure, without focusing on, like, the Snake Eye stuff. Obviously, the Rescue Ace stuff basically only play, or the Rescue Ace decks basically only play the Diabell Star package with Poplar and stuff like that, and not really focusing heavily on the Snake Eye stuff anyway, but for the most part, just keep that in mind. You're probably better off not playing the Snake Eye stuff, as they're not going to be as useful, because you can't go into those Link monsters. Potentially, you could play, like, some Snake Eye cards and, like, the Fire King stuff just to give you, like, a rank 8, but for the most part, it's better off just playing, like, more Fire King and hand traps and stuff like that. Yeah. Vanquish Soul is technically playable. While they do lose Rock the Vanquisher, which is massively important, it's technically playable, so I figured I'd throw it in here. You also have the Kairio Shin stuff with the, with, like, Umi control and all of that stuff. Whoops, I kept misclicking. So yeah, you have, like, all of the Umi stuff, all of the, crazy shenanigans that you can pull off with that. So this is, like, if you want to play stun, if you specifically want to play stun, you can always play the Kairio Shin stuff. Wouldn't suggest it, but you could. Bestials are fully legal as well. They're all there, which means that is, like, a very good engine. You can also utilize things like the Horus engine as well as the Adventure engine, which I didn't include in here. I don't know why. But yeah, the Adventure engine, I believe is fully untouched. So yeah, and you know, it's gotten a lot stronger due to Retivator Messir and Water Enchantress and all of that stuff coming back. So pretty strong there. Yeah, that's basically it. And of course, with the Horus stuff, you can go into powerful rank 8 and all of that jazz, while also setting up just big end boards. Then, of course, you have dinos, which technically can also make a few Xyz here or there. But the biggest problem is that while, yes, you can make those Xyz, or I shouldn't say biggest problem, but like, yes, they do make Xyz, but they're more so focused on like a lot of the main deck advantage that this deck generates. Now, you do lose quite a bit due to not having access to both links and fusions, but it's not that big of a deal because you can still basically make UCT, which is crazy in and of itself. Eldritch is there, so you could play Eldritch, as well as Labyrinth. Labyrinth is basically fully untouched, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, you could just play Lab. That's like a choice. Honestly, it's probably the best choice. Well, okay, it's probably the second best because you do lose a few pieces here and there. I think Pearly's probably going to be... Actually, no. Pearly's going to have a hit list on it. You're probably better off playing Lab. Honestly. So, there you go. Who knows? Maybe people will be preparing for Lab as well. But honestly, I'm expecting people to go Pearly and like prepare for nothing else. So there's that. Then you can also play Makonko, you know, because for some reason Konami hates me in particular and decided to let Makonko through because they hate themselves. They hate their players. I don't know what's going on with that. Makonko is here though, and then the one I'm personally most excited for, maybe not most excited for, the one I'm excited for is Paleo, because guess what? Opabinia is an Xyz. Anomalocaris is an Xyz. You can play Paleo. It's a little bit worse because you don't have the link monsters, which does help the deck. But honestly, it's not that big of a deal because, yeah, you can just kind of rely on your XYZs anyway. So it's not really that big of a deal. So yeah, there's quite a few decks available to you. Lots of main deck options available to you that basically don't rely on the extra deck. Things like Fire King and Labyrinth. And then a bunch of Xyz as well, like, Exorcister and Pearly. So there you go. Those are the decks to look out for. That's kind of how the ban list has shaken up. Also, I gotta show you what they did to Flu, because it's so unbelievably weird. They banned all the little birds and Scary Sea, and then they just allowed M-Pen and like the bigger birds, which is a choice. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know why they keep destroying Flu in every single event, but they do. This is also one of the few events where like Flu would actually have been an interesting, or would have like had an interesting dynamic, because unlike something like the Link event where if you get the M-Pen on the field, it's basically an FTK. In an XYZ event, a lot of decks in particular wants to put their XYZs in defense position just inherently, right? So like normal summoning an M-Pen isn't going to do nearly as much, right? Like Pearly, Exorcister, Kashtira. I guess the only exception are like Photon Dragon. But like for the most part, most decks are going to like just inherently... Oh! I forgot one. We'll talk about it in a second. But most decks inherently wants to put their guys sideways. So there's that. Anyway, Flu being absolutely slaughtered is weird. Dogmatica is also weird because it also loses a whole bunch of random cards. Ecclesia and Maximus are both banned, along with Dogmatic Calamity and Nadir Servant, which is just a choice. They also banned White Knight because I believe this technically has some sort of floodgate effect. You can have special summon monsters from the extra deck. I think that's the point, is like, oh, we can't have this like be summoned and then given to our... I don't know why, but they kind of just ban anything that has like floodgate style effects. Notably, Dogmatic Punishment is also banned, which is another thing to keep in mind. Most notably, this is actually more important for something like Labyrinth than it is anything else. So, there you go. But yeah, it's weird ban lists. Don't know. Let me know what you guys think about the ban lists down below. Because, honestly, I'm not excited for it. They also, I will say, they did miss quite a few of the problematic singletons. Things like There Can Be Only One, Amano Owato, 5 Rainbow Magician, Skill Drain, Rivalry, Gozen. I don't really care about Eradicator. That card sucks anyway. And most notably Synchro Stone, which is hilarious. But they banned like a whole bunch of other random crap. If we check out the actual banned cards, you'll see like they banned Scythe. Hold on, let me actually do this correctly. They banned Scythe. I believe they banned... Yeah, they banned them to Deer Servant, as I mentioned previously. They banned, like, a bunch of these floodgates, as you can see here. Like Jowgen and all of that stuff. They banned Kaiser Coliseum. Actually, Kaiser Coliseum just got banned anyway. The band plays on. Stygian Dirge, I believe, is on here as well, right? So it's a bunch of, like, really weird cards, and then of course they just like miss like half of them anyway, so very funny. Anyway, the last thing I want to say, you can also play Generator. I'm sure you noticed it, but yeah, you could also play Generator. It's an XZ deck, like it just genuinely is. I don't ever see them really go into anything other than XZs, so yeah, you could play Generator, which is also pretty cheap. I believe the entirety of the Generator archetype requires, what, 5 UR cards, right? 2 of this, 1 of this. That's it. The rest of it, SR or lower. In fact, their, like, most impactful cards, that being Vala and Lopter, as well as the field spell, are super rare, and common. So, there you go. Pretty cheap deck. If you want to put something together, you can. But yeah, all in all, that's it. Yeah, this event's kind of weird. Hopefully you guys, I don't know. Let me know if you're excited for this event. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, like us very much. So appreciate it, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.